go! I need to get on that plane!
He missed his flight. The plane never landed. In this documentary, 6 shocking coincidences that saved people at the last minute. It's not luck or fate at work, but deadlocked traffic in Jakarta, a missing suitcase at JFK, and the everyday frustrations that made the difference between life and a staggering death toll. 189 gone in one moment, 230 in another. If a lost bag can buy you a future, what else have we all overlooked? How often do the annoyances you curse actually pull you back from the edge? Stay with me as we unravel 6 true stories where suffering the ordinary led to surviving the unimaginable. Sony Setiawan's alarm rang before dawn, just like every other Monday. In Jakarta, the morning commute is a test of patience. Arteries clogged, toll plazas stalled, horns echoing against the concrete. On October 29, 2018, the traffic was worse than usual. Setiawan left home at 5:15, but gridlock stretched every mile. By the time he reached Soekarno-Hatta Airport, the Lion Air Gate had already closed. He watched as Flight 610, his regular flight, pushed back from the terminal at 6:20. 13 minutes later, the Boeing 737 vanished from radar, plunging into the Java Sea with 189 lives on board. Setiawan's name, struck from the manifest, left a blank space in a tragedy measured by minutes. For him, a morning lost in traffic became the narrowest margin between routine frustration and survival. Christian Panucci, a defender for Italy's national football team, arrived at JFK Airport on July 17, 1996, expecting a routine flight to Paris. Instead, a missing suitcase set off a chain of delays. Airline staff insisted he wait. Unaccompanied bags on international flights meant trouble. As ground crew searched, the clock ticked past boarding. Panucci's name was quietly removed from the manifest, his ticket exchanged for a direct flight from Newark to Milan. That night, TWA Flight 800 lifted off at 8:19 p.m. and disintegrated in mid-air minutes later, killing all 230 aboard. The lost bag, a minor inconvenience, had forced a reroute that left Panucci stranded in the terminal, alive, while a plane he was meant to board became headline news. In the world of airport logistics, a single misplaced item became the difference between a frustrating delay and a life spared. How many times have you cursed a red light, a missing suitcase, or a morning lost to gridlock, never knowing what you might have sidestepped? Most delays are just that: wasted minutes, minor headaches. Yet for a handful of people, these everyday setbacks became invisible escapes. The pattern is hard to ignore. Ordinary frustrations, the kind that barely register, sometimes draw the line between disaster and another uneventful day. It's easy to dismiss these stories as rare flukes, but consider the odds. In every major air disaster, 1 or 2 names are quietly erased from the manifest, spared by nothing more than chance. Would you have recognized the moment as a blessing, or spent the day stewing over lost time? But sometimes the smallest detour is the only thing that keeps us from the unthinkable. Seth MacFarlane, known for his sharp wit and late nights, found himself at Boston Logan Airport on the morning of September 11, 2001. The night before, he had stayed out drinking with friends, trusting his travel agent's itinerary that listed his American Airlines flight as departing at 8:15 a.m. In reality, Flight 11 was scheduled for 7:45. MacFarlane arrived just after the boarding door closed, groggy and annoyed, forced to watch as the plane he was meant to be on taxied away. At 7:59, Flight 11 took off. 47 minutes later, it struck the North Tower of the World Trade Center. MacFarlane spent the rest of the day in stunned disbelief, his own missed alarm and a minor scheduling error separating him from one of history's darkest mornings. Antonis Mavropoulos, a Greek engineer, sprinted through Addis Ababa's Bole International Airport on March 10, 2019, his carry-on bouncing at his side. Security lines crawled. By the time he reached the gate for Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302, the doors had already sealed. Airline staff, unmoved by his protests, pointed to the clock. He was 2 minutes late, and rules were rules. Mavropoulos watched as the Boeing 737 MAX taxied away without him. 6 minutes after takeoff, the plane crashed near Bishoftu, killing all 157 people on board. CCTV footage later confirmed his arrival at the closed gate. For Mavropoulos, the rigid enforcement of airline policy, usually a source of frustration, became a silent shield. In the aftermath, he sat in the departures lounge, stunned, as the news broke and the meaning of those 2 minutes settled in. Every so often, the universe tosses a wrench into our daily routine. A lost bag, a wrong turn, a gate that closes just before you arrive. Most of us grumble, curse our luck, and move on, never realizing how close we might have come to disaster. But what if those delays were more than just bad timing? For every story of a missed flight or a closed boarding door, there are dozens more that slip by unnoticed, close calls that never make the news. Do you chalk it up to chance, or do you start to wonder if something else is at play? Think back. Have you ever been saved by a minor setback, a forgotten item, or a sudden change of plans? If you have, share your story in the comments. On July 17, 2014, Amsterdam's Schiphol airport buzzed with summer travelers. Malaysia Airlines Flight 17, bound for Kuala Lumpur, had filled nearly every seat. Among the crowd, a family of 3, parents and a young child, requested to travel together. The airline's global reservation software, designed to optimize seat allocation, found only 2 seats side by side. The agent offered a choice: split up or rebook on a later flight to stay together. The parents hesitated, then chose the inconvenience of waiting, unwilling to leave their child alone in a row of strangers. MH17 departed at 10:31 UTC, its manifest finalized by the logic of an algorithm. Hours later, news broke that the flight had been shot down over eastern Ukraine, killing all 298 on board. For this family, a routine seat shuffle became the silent reason they were not among the names read out in memorials. In the aftermath, they described it as a second birthday for their son. But the reason for their survival was as impersonal as a line of software code. On May 31, 2009, Air France Flight 447 prepared to depart Rio de Janeiro for Paris. Its manifest packed with travelers returning from business, vacation, and family visits. Among those planning to board was a family with a young child. The night before their departure, the child spiked a sudden fever. Bags were packed, tickets printed, but as the symptoms worsened, the parents weighed their options. Within an hour of their scheduled drive to the airport, they made the decision to cancel, contacting the airline to report a medical emergency. The refund was processed, the family stayed home, and the flight took off without them. In the early hours of June 1st, news broke that AF447 had vanished somewhere over the Atlantic. The Airbus A330, carrying 228 people, never arrived in Paris. For families waiting at Charles de Gaulle, hope faded with each passing hour. The investigation would later conclude the aircraft was lost to a chain of technical failures and severe weather, its wreckage scattered on the ocean floor. For the parents who stayed behind, what began as a domestic crisis, a toddler's fever, became an untraceable shield against disaster. They would remember the night as a blur of worry and relief, their absence from the manifest a footnote in an event measured by tragedy and chance. In these 6 cases, the difference between life and death was measured in minutes. Each survivor's story is documented: traffic jams, delayed luggage, closed gates, a feverish child. All are recorded in official manifests, crash reports, and news archives. But will the reason behind these coincidences always remain unknown? There's no system to predict when a missed bus or a lost wallet will shield someone from catastrophe. What the evidence shows is simple: routine setbacks can become invisible safeguards. Airline policies, booking algorithms, and even bad luck can all play their part. The line between frustration and fate is thin, and often only visible in hindsight. If you've experienced a near miss or a twist of timing that changed everything, share it below, because as these records prove, the smallest delays can leave the biggest mark.